Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the greatest and most attractive characters ever thought up. He can run at sound speed, take out enemies in a flash, and best of all, he's blue-colored and knows how to handle the females. Speaking of females, the Sonic universe might also be classified as hot chick heaven because there's such a mess of very beautiful and tough women that it'll make you love the franchise even more. And since Valentine's Day is around the corner, I've been inspired to make a top 10 list of the most beautiful female Sonic characters. Grab yourself a snack and a glass of orange juice and try not to reach through the screen because here we go!
Welcome to the Bargain Binge podcast.
Fuck you, no!
I'm your host, Evan.
Yeah, and I'm
No, you're not.
All these other people are
No,
lackeys.
actually, you're not even a co-host anymore.
But I'm just gonna say that we were the final wall between your wallet and getting defrauded by Walmart. Yeah, I think it's what we should be using from now on. It's good to include somebody else's registered trademark in your slogan.
So you have to put a TM. You have to put a TM in your TM.
And if they at any point are like, don't do that, you're fucked.
How is Walmart going to defraud me, Aaron?
Well, I don't know if it's Walmart themselves, but me and Evan keep getting defrauded when we go in the bargain bin and pull something fucking interesting out, and then we go over and it costs $17.
Yeah, it's happened every time, and it's always the ones that look really fucking weird.
Yeah, I end up having a conversation with the same woman who's always there, who was always like, oh, what were you guys gonna watch? Why are you canceling this? And we talk to her every time.
Just tell her to listen to the show.
Yeah, we'll tell her about it. Let's give her a sticker.
Give her a sticker, yeah.
Who cannot just walk 5 feet back to the aisle and just put it somewhere that isn't the bargain bin?
Lots of, I mean, namely children, because they put all kinds of garbage in there
Yeah. Well,
that aren't just movies.
Like socks and general masks.
Well, they thought it was a ball pit, so...
I think they did. And last time we were there was this kid who just kept saying, "Where's Venom? I need Venom. Do you see Venom?"
Yeah, I want to watch Venom. I like Venom. And he ended up grabbing a disc he lifted up in the air and was like, oh, I found Venom. And his sister went, that's not Venom. And he went, how do you know?
Can we have Venom Kid on the podcast?
Yeah, if we can find him.
Yeah.
It's always an adventure to go to Walmart for the express purpose of raiding the bargain bin and finding gross stuff in the fucking bins.
Yeah.
It's also always overflowing, which is a good thing for us, but it's like you shove your arm in it and it just starts toppling onto the floor.
Yeah. It's hard to control that.
Alright, it's a beautiful summer day as we're recording this. How are you fellas doing today?
Doing fine.
It ain't beautiful here. Rained all day.
That's what I like to hear. Is it drowning out all the cicadas?
Yeah, I think so. At least one can only hope.
I mean, all it does is fill the streets with cicada corpses.
That's true.
So you crunch whenever you take a step.
Yeah.
It's like living in a ball pit filled with Rice Krispies.
At least you're allowed, like, a reprieve from their incessant buzzing, because they don't really make the noise when it's raining.
Yeah, well, the area around us has, like, a pretty good amount of greenery. And, like, when I go anywhere else here, like, I don't hear, that much noise. But here it's just a constant high decibel.
Yeah, dude, it's like an air raid siren.
At all times.
Yeah, I can only just vaguely remember, like, the 17 years ago or whatever when I was a kid and that was happening, and I guess I didn't think much of it. I just thought that's what life was going to be like, and then I just never realized it went away because I forgot about it.
Oh, it's like how deaf people, like people who've been deaf their entire life, assume that the sun makes a noise.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Evan, I think you need to, go to a doctor if you can't hear the generator noise coming from the sun.
Yeah, it's at a frequency that people our age should be able to hear. If you can't hear it,
if you went through puberty.
Yeah. If something went wrong in your puberty.
What did you say to me?
Oh, speaking of high-pitched, loud, annoying voices, today we are talking about the evolution of the internet critic, how it began, and the state of the industry today.
What?
But before we get to that, we'll talk about the movies we've watched recently, as we always do. Evan, what have you watched recently?
Well, guys, I watched Demon House, a documentary film by paranormal auteur Zach Baggins. And it's essentially just a feature-length episode of Ghost Adventures, except worse in every way.
Yeah, it takes the mediocre technical competence or usual competence of the Travel Channel TV crew and replaces it with just Zach and his Craigslist employees and friends.
Like the guy from Craigslist who pretends to overdose on drugs and freak out seeing a ghost for the film.
Whatever is affecting him, he's taunting it to do more.
Turns out leaving Zach to his own devices wasn't the greatest idea in the world, because the underlying issue with this film is that it has approximately 90% interviews and 10% actual ghost hunting, like lockdown night vision footage, which is really why you come there in the first place. It's why people watch the show. It's why I watch the show. I find that stuff fun and entertaining. But with this, it just meanders around for like however long this movie is.
Yeah, Evan can't come unless he has ghost footage on screen.
Like, the show's always full of shit, and somehow they just do a better job of doing that on the Travel Channel, because here everything's just clearly on display, you know?
You might end up paying somebody to give an interview, which, is not great practice, but they do it on screen in this. Like, Zach Bagans will walk up, have someone refuse an interview, and then slip them a $5, and then they'll start talking about all the ghosts they saw.
Yeah.
And he'll say it in voiceover, and it'll be like, I generously paid this poor person to lie on camera.
Zach Bagans' like diction, just the way he talks, is like hilarious to me. It's so like, it's such a weird thing he's going for.
He texted me back to inform me that there were 1 million ghosts in the house.
Yes, you heard that right. 1 billion ghosts.
Yes. According to Zach, this house which he has purchased sight unseen over the phone is home to 200 demons, and so that's just kind of
unseen.
That's the subject of the documentary, is them investigating this like shitty little shack in Gary, Indiana. And that's kind of another thing that I noticed about this versus the show. The show, they frequently go to all of these really historic, super like old, like hundreds of years old often, buildings and things. And I always find the like history behind them like really interesting. However, with this, it's just like there is no history. It's just a house. It's like people got possessed by demons supposedly, but that's it. There's not like, hundreds of people died in this like horrible hospital where they had malpractice. It's nothing like that.
They even leave in the fact that one of the families says that they lived there and experienced none of those things.
Yeah, it's like some people say that they experienced nothing, and this one family says all of their children got possessed, which we get to see in these hilarious recreations of those events.
And if you're scared you'll miss it the first time, don't worry. They play like 50 times throughout the movie because they only got like 10 seconds of interstitial footage.
Yeah, they had one day to do reenactments, and they were like, nope, that's it.
Yeah, and it's all presented in gorgeous color clipping blue-orange.
It's one of the ugliest movies I've ever seen, and it's just really weird to even think about that with a documentary, because documentaries can be low fidelity and be very well made movies, but this one is both low fidelity and trying to look high budget, so it's just painted over with the most disgusting color grade, trying to cover up the fact that they were using two completely different cameras with different like color settings.
Yeah, and like all of its technical issues, I think, go back to our point about how the Travel Channel like had nothing to do with this. And I think if it was literally just Ghost Adventures feature length with their same their same production crew and the post crew, it would have been like pretty.
Yeah,
it would have been entertaining. I mean, okay, that's a lie. Sorry, this is entertaining, but it's not for like a different.
Yeah.
It's for a different reason.
It's the one so bad it's good documentary that's out there.
Yeah, it's very so bad it's good to the point where we've seen it like 3 or 4 times to take in all of its majesty.
Yeah, and it's been a minute since I watched, so had to revisit that. So I could look at my favorite character of all time, police officer man from Gary, Indiana.
He's an expert on what's underneath stairs.
That's weird. I don't know that much about construction, but why would somebody concrete a whole basement and leave dirt under the stairs? I say that don't make sense.
Yeah, and he has a very firm handle on what does and doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Don't make sense. Don't make common sense.
Well, that's Demon House?
Demon House.
Because there's so many demons in it. Silly me. Also known as Low Income House in Gary, Indiana. I think that's the international title. So, yes. Aaron, what did you watch?
Okay, well, Evan had never seen the Lord of the Rings films, so we watched them all on my Blu-ray box set. It's a really nice set. It's got a ton of bonus features. But yeah, we did the 12-hour single-day expedition through them, which is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it was experience, to say the least.
Yeah, but, you've seen them, audience, I'm sure, and they're pretty good. They're good movies. So, I just wanted to talk about something that I really noticed when I looked at them, which is they come from a very interesting moment in time where CGI had become good enough you could do stuff with it, but people still tried to use it, like, sparingly. So the movies, are big budget, but they use matte paintings and miniatures and like every single technical effects thing you could possibly use, and they mix it all together, and it looks fucking fantastic. And it's just a reminder that we still have the technology to do this. There was no 11th commandment stating that we can never use miniatures again.
Yeah. It's something I don't understand, because aren't miniatures just cheaper? I mean, I guess not always, but I think for the most part, stuff like that and matte paintings are cheaper than if you just did like all of your scene or whatever with CGI.
See, the problem is that your neurotic producers cannot make changes at the last second with matte paintings and miniatures, which are baked into the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. If someone doesn't like that when they're on set that day, they can't do anything about it unless they just can it completely.
Yep, and so you can't just constantly fuck with what the movie looks like all the way to the end. You have to make decisions and stick with them for the most part.
Huh, you mean like have a cohesive vision?
Yeah, yeah. No, and it's just exciting to watch the fact that, and you can also kind of get this in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but old school compositing, miniatures, makeup mixed with CGI and all this other stuff. And it's like, I wish everybody, was like, oh, I have all these tools in my toolbox. What if I used a variety of them? Well, instead, they just use the hammer for everything, no matter what they're doing.
And now there's just bodysuits on just normal people that are completely CGI, like the Spider-Man movies now.
Yes. Yeah, it's really weird. And for some reason, even when they bring back some old school technical stuff, it comes off wrong. Like, I don't know if, like, the integration's weird. Like, a lot of that stuff in the sequel movies feels off. And
the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, Star Wars sequels films. And I just don't really get exactly what they're doing wrong, but it comes off off-putting, while these movies, it all feels very integrated. Maybe just become like a lost art to a degree. I don't know, but
maybe. I mean, I think we are rounding the corner because, like, in terms of exclusively using blue or green screens, because I don't know, like, as an example, the rear projection stuff that, like, The Mandalorian does.
Yeah,
that's kind of a nice, like, middle ground between old school techniques and green screen, because the actors still have a background that they can see and they can act against. But it's, you know, it's all digital. So that shit's expensive. So I don't know. But I think it would be cool if it caught on.
I think that, like, is an interesting direction we might be going in. We might be rounding the corner out of all green screens all the time. But, like, yeah, if you want to have a throwback to very interesting blockbuster filmmaking, rewatch those Lord of the Rings films. That era produced a lot of dog shit, but those blockbusters from the late 90s, early 2000s, like The Matrix and Lord of the Rings and Spider-Man, are really fucking technically interesting and cool.
Yes, they are.
And if you're psychotic like us, you can watch all 3 4-hour-long extended cuts of the films.
Yeah, so, on my gorgeous box set with 50,000 hours of bonus content I will never be able to sift through all of.
Yeah. Actually, you should top them and also do the Hobbit movies immediately after. Just do a full 24 hours.
I mean, I do want to look at those because I actually read The Hobbit as a kid. I never read The Lord of the Rings, so obviously they're not as good from what I understand, but I would be interested to know what those are like.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, and you can watch them in high frame rate, as all films should be presented in.
Yes.
Oh, are they in like a high frame
48,
rate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I think that was only a thing in the theater. I don't think you can even get that.
Okay.
Damn. People like vomited. It's
Oh, wait, yeah, okay. Okay, now that's coming back to me.
Yeah, it turns out, guys, you can change a lot of stuff about movies, but frame rate's the thing that you just don't fuck with. You just leave it alone.
Well, tell that to
Ang Lee.
Yeah, with his flop movies.
Dude, we saw all 3 of us saw Gemini Man in one of the, like, 10 theaters in the whole country that was playing it at 120 frames a second, and it was like there was a transformative, like, out of body experience. It was wild.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry to you, audience, because you can never get that again. We absorbed it, and you will never know how we felt.
What? Yeah. There's got to be, like, at most, like, a few hundred people that ever got to experience that.
Mm-hmm. I can proudly say I'm one of them.
Yeah, we're part of the proud, the strong, the Gemini men.
That's what makes us the greatest podcast of all time. And
yeah, that we're the Gemini man.
Yeah. we all have clones of ourselves that we swap out between episodes.
Yeah.
I'm Evan's clone number 4082.
He just keeps killing all of them. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah, me and Dylan are on.
It's like, kind of funny.
Me and Dylan are on our 3rd clones. I don't know what's with Evan and getting rid of them all the time.
I mean, you know, sometimes you just want to throw yourself in front of a bus.
That's fair.
So I went to see 3 movies in a row at the Cinemark, and I was going to just add, like, my travel log to this episode, but it's way too long and self-indulgent, so that's going to go up on the YouTube this Friday as this episode comes out.
Outside of aesthetics, the movie is fucking stark ugly. It is just a morbid piece of shit.
Something I've been watching recently is the films of Alejandro Jodorowsky. I have the box set from Alan Klein's record company, and then I got the recent 4K of Santa Sangre. And if you're not familiar with who Alejandro Jodorowsky is, I just will read you his Wikipedia.
Just to put it out there. Isn't he the guy who did The Holy Mountain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the movies. But let's see. He's 92 years old, born in February 1929 to a Jewish family in Chile, but they're French, of French nationality. Since 1948, he has worked as a novelist, screenwriter, poet, playwright, essayist, film and theater director and producer, actor, film editor, comics writer, musician and composer, philosopher, puppeteer, mime, lay psychologist, draughtsman, painter, sculptor, and spiritual guru.
Wow. Well,
Jesus Christ.
Now that you finished reading Evan's bio, can you get to his?
Yeah.
So...
Evan's one of the greatest mimes of all time. You should, if you
most
email
accomplished people in the universe.
Yeah. I should email him and ask him if he can mime at my nephew's birthday party.
My daily rate is $100 per hour.
Yeah, he's done a lot of things in his very long and seemingly not ending anytime soon life, as he intends to live to at least 150, he has said. He most famously is known as a director, and he just has this very unique style about him, because he borrows from like literally every sort of like mystical religion or belief system, and then he combines it with like Freudian psychology in a weird way, and it's just these extremely loose, there's not much of a narrative to these films, it's just things happen. It's surrealist work. I don't know, it's just a unique style. He has such an eye for visuals, but so the movies are Fondo Elise, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, and then Santa Sangre, as I said. But I've been watching these with director commentary recently, because the movies are so unfocused on dialogue, because he hates dialogue. As a result, like, watching it with the commentary is basically just kind of like a different way to experience the movie, and you still get it. Whereas, like, director's commentaries on most movies, it's like, it's kind of a different thing entirely, because you're not getting like the plot as it happens through dialogue and everything. But he's a weird guy. It's just him saying a bunch of weird stuff, and not all of it is acceptable socially or politically, but damn is he one crazy guy. He kind of pioneered acid cinema, because El Topo was actually the first midnight movie. Like, it had a very long run in New York, playing at midnight at a theater that John Lennon owned. So it kind of became the patient zero of the midnight movie thing. And those movies got him in trouble every time in Mexico, because that's where he filmed them. And there's a lot of interesting takes on religion visually and just overall. Like, at one point, Jesus shits into a vial. Like, the Jesus character, it's very clearly Jesus. It's not his name or anything in it. But he, like, shits into, like, a jar, and it's, like, boiled, and they, like, smell it.
What the okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we hype ourselves up to start the podcast.
Yeah, we get jankumed up. No big deal. Yeah, so, Mexico being a firmly religious culture doesn't take too kindly to these things. So he's been numerous times run out of the country and, like, assaulted at film premieres and everything. He's just, he's such a fucking character. And I really, really like the movies. Like, they're not for everyone, clearly, because he has very specific sensibilities, and they are very gross. Just bodily wise, there's a bunch of like weird, gross nudity, but at the same time, it's just like they're so earnest, and he's playing around with so many subjects at one time that it's just confusing in a way that's intriguing, and the visuals are just beautiful. Like, the amount of stuff he was able to do with what little money he got for these movies is insane. The sets, like the practical filmmaking elements are like very well done.
Yeah, well, why didn't he just throw up a green screen in the desert and then put it all in?
Maybe he did.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was stupid or something. Okay.
Yeah, clearly. He definitely sounds like a weirdo or auteur, which I'm always the big proponent of.
Yeah, Holy Mountain's one of my favorite movies, I think. It's really just one of the most insane things you could watch. So definitely check out Jodorowsky's movies if any of that sounds slightly appealing to you. Like I said, it's not for everybody. But what is for everybody? Film news.
Ooh.
Who doesn't not care about film news? No one.
Yeah. Everybody spends their waking hours thinking about who might purchase who next, and if somebody got traded to a different talent agency, and other shit Variety reports on every day and gets 15 upvotes on the Reddit front page.
Well, audience, we're here to give you this pertinent information so you can stop worrying day in and day out.
Please stop crying. Please.
Yeah.
We're here.
I mean, the crying is a little embarrassing.
Yeah. I do it sometimes, but that's because I'm, cool and interesting besides that.
So we have two big news items here, both involving acquiring studios, merging studios, the kind of wonderful news that we all know and love. And first off, we have AT&T HBO merging with Discovery after a letdown on the performance of HBO Max in AT&T's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very interesting because, I mean, the way I look at it is that maybe they were like, whoa, hey, Disney Plus has Nat Geo. We need like a docu-series nature thing. And to be fair, Discovery is leaps and bounds better than
fucking National Geographic. Yeah. Discovery has good content sometimes.
Yeah, I watched Discovery a lot as a kid, and not so much anymore, but they have good stuff. I don't know what Nat Geo has.
I think Discovery owns Animal Planet, I think.
Yeah, they do. They own
So and the Travel Channel.
Yeah, they own Travel Channel, Animal Planet, TLC,
a bunch of networks.
All that, like Science Channel, all that stuff.
Things that people actually want to watch, as opposed to whatever kangaroo documentary is exclusive to Disney Plus, and you say, "Go away! I want to watch. The Simpsons."
Yeah, I spent many a night watching the top 10 most extreme night vision animals or whatever. There's a lot of fun, goofy content on Discovery channels.
Of course, like Mythbusters. Like, dude, if they put all of Mythbusters on HBO Max, that's gonna be a good time.
Are you jacking off right now?
No, he is.
No, I'm clapping.
Is that what that sound was?
No, I heard it.
Oh.
No.
It was... yeah, he really likes Mythbusters, guys. No big deal. But Aaron,
who doesn't?
Do you know the numbers on this? Like, how exactly are the hands changing and whatever on this?
From what I remember, it's basically just Discovery is now going to have like a 30% ownership of Warner Brothers, and like AT&T is going to own the rest, but now it's being like the company that used to be AT&T feeds into Warner Brothers, which feeds into a bunch of other brands, which feeds all the way down to like I think Rooster Teeth, but
yeah,
but now they've like spun off Warner Brothers into being like it's kind of its own company again, and they just own most of it, as opposed to it being like an integrated brand under them.
Okay. But yeah, and the interesting thing about this is like this comes off of the tales of like the higher ups at HBO like complaining about like HBO Max not doing as well as they thought, even though I thought it was kind of a smash hit.
Yeah, it has this problem where regular HBO has millions of people who are subscribed to it who can just transfer to Max for free but have not. which makes all the numbers look really bad. When it's like there's like 30 million people who could have HBO Max but just don't.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a lot of HBO Max, I think, might be suffering from a similar problem to like the Wii U, where people don't fully understand what the separation is from the original product. Because, it sounds like it's just like a higher tier of HBO, when it's actually, here's the entire Warner Brothers library. Here's like fucking everything. And I think a lot of people don't even get that, or the fact that it's like the same fucking price as regular HBO, so there's no reason to not switch over.
They're doing this in an effort to like make their brand of streaming more recognizable to people.
Yeah, maybe. Discovery. The thing about is that these are two healthy companies just kind of like getting smashed together. It's just really weird,
it's not like one is overtaking the other. Like, whereas I feel like we see that news a lot more often.
Yeah.
Where Disney swallowed up Fox.
Yeah, it's not a straight purchase. It's like a weird blending of the companies. I believe the entertainment head of Discovery is now going to be running Warner Brothers, and or at least HBO Max. And the previous HBO Max guy is just going to get dumped on the street. So
that's really weird.
Yeah,
especially because I don't know, like you said, they're both good, healthy companies, but Discovery is so much different. Yeah, so much more different than HBO. I don't know.
Yeah, and AT&T just decided that they wanted to buy into the entertainment industry by buying one of its main pillars, and then they realized that you can't just do that.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of dumping it, not fully, like they still have a majority stake and all that, but they seem to be trying to get their money back on this Walmart return,
Like I said, I'll be happy if the Discovery library gets dumped onto HBO Max, but I'm not sure if that's even how they're handling this or what's going on.
No, it's actually extremely confusing. Unlike the
other news item for studios being acquired and whatever is Amazon acquires MGM and its entire catalog.
Yeah.
Right.
No, this one's fun because people are talking about this way more than the super weird Discovery Warner Brothers deal. Even though this is just Amazon buying a zombie company that had nothing going for it anyway. So there's nothing to worry about.
People are talking about it like it was Disney taking over Fox. It's like, oh my god, this big megacorp is taking over this other super successful industry. But it's like, MGM's been pretty much dead.
Yeah, MGM filed for bankruptcy a decade ago and is mostly owned by creditors. The switch over to Amazon is not like a big cultural change for it.
No, and it's not something to be it's not something to be scared about. Yeah, or it's like you should be scared of Disney, the monsters they are, swallowing up all of these other companies like Fox, because Fox is not a dead company. So
yeah, it was at its functioning at its rate that it's been going for the past 100 years or whatever. Yeah. And that's when Disney bought it. They were still a fully functioning studio releasing big budget movies and also doing a bunch of distribution for smaller movies.
Yeah. MGM's had to co-distribute things with other companies because they don't have the infrastructure to fully do it themselves because they're dead. They were a dead company.
Lionsgate has put out a lot of their archive stuff and everything. It's not just MGM. They have to be supported by Lionsgate, which is tiny compared to Disney and all that other stuff.
Or Fox. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's just like this isn't a big deal. Like the only interesting element of it is like, what the fuck is Amazon gonna do with these brands? Like, are we gonna get an expensive The Boys style show about RoboCop? Like,
I hope so.
yeah,
we can hope so.
Yeah, but like this is like purely like good news. I mean, I assume some people are gonna get fired, but you know that happens every time with anything, unfortunately. So
right,
it's just
you can't
kind of
avoid that,
is.
really.
Well, yeah, the company was dying. It isn't like,
as far as I'm concerned, Amazon saved them.
Yeah. Also, they horrifically overpaid.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. How much did they pay?
They paid almost $9 billion for this dead fucking company.
Yeah, well, okay,
I guess you get 007 and...
Well, okay, here's the thing. They don't have many, like, contemporary popular franchises or movies, but they do have a lot of, like, classic movies from, like, decades ago. So I guess that stuff's worth the money.
Yeah, maybe the...
Not that much, but...
The catalog might be, you know,
like I'm pretty sure they own like The Wizard of Oz and like Gone with the Wind and stuff like that.
I mean that they do own a lot of stuff, like old stuff. It's just Disney got Lucasfilm plus Marvel for less than that.
Yeah, that's insane. No, yeah,
I just
I'm not
think Amazon doesn't care.
Yeah,
I think they're just throwing money around because why not?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I honestly hope they just do interesting stuff with the brands.
Yeah.
Because MGM sure fucking wasn't. So, you know, maybe I'll get an interesting piece of RoboCop content or, you know, just anything again. I only see this as a reasonably positive thing, unless they, in 2 years, they go, oh, oops, never mind, and dump it like AT&T did with Warner Brothers.
Is Amazon good? Of course not, but they're not gonna, you know, do what Disney did with Fox and, you know, change the name probably, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering if they were gonna give it like a shitty name, or are they just gonna like completely absolve it? I don't know.
One of the top articles for this has a Photoshop of Jeff Bezos's face over the lion face, and I would love if that was their actual logo.
And it's just him going like, rawr.
See, that would cause me to turn on every piece of new Amazon content. But I watch past that, you know, but I'd catch that every time.
Yeah, you might not want to watch past it because you might get really angry and start waving your sonic screwdriver at the camera.
Yeah, I might pull out my Ben 10 Omnitrix that has a lightsaber stapled to it and start shooting phaser blasts.
What are we babbling about? What is this word salad that we are dispensing into the world? Well, today we are talking about internet critics, how they came to be, and we'll get to that part of internet critics and explain what we're talking about there. But first we'll just talk about the origin of film criticism. Because print and newsprint has been around longer than film, there has always been film criticism from like the earliest days. So we've had people, you know, giving their opinions on this stuff for forever, really.
Citizen Kane just got unseated from its 100% on Rotten Tomatoes because of a, you know, 80-year-old fucking review that someone dug up and finally scanned onto the internet. Meaning that film never truly had a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's hilarious.
Disgraceful. How could you dare not have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes?
It's the only score that matters, man. Only thing.
You know, print and film criticism were the way that it went for a very long time. But then somewhere along the way in the 80s, so two little critics named Siskel and Ebert develop a television show called At the Movies, where they talked about movies that were coming out in the theaters. They would play like clips from the trailers, and then just give their thoughts back and forth. And this created a whole new form of criticism in video criticism.
This week on Siskel and Ebert, Jennifer Aniston sets her sights on a man she cannot have in The Object of My Affection.
Mobster Christopher Walken is kidnapped by the Suicide Kings.
And Nick Nolte investigates the dark world of a serial killer in Night Watch.
Siskel and Ebert were from rival Chicago papers, the Tribune and the Sun or whatever. And then, yeah, they had, you know, pretty different opinions about movies. And so it was kind of fun to see them come against each other. And that's kind of the first time where criticism became entertainment. I'm making air quotes with my fingers. You can't see that because this is a audio medium. But their rapport with each other created interest and caused people to want to watch the program, even if they were talking about something that they, you know, a movie that you didn't actually want to see. But it also caused people to, you know, learn more about movies and terms and discussing them, even though those shows did keep the terminology pretty general.
This horror movie is stinky nasty. I couldn't believe I was watching it at certain points. The Poodoo monster was just unacceptable as an on-screen villain. What did you think, Gene?
You know, I actually thought this was very technically impressive and good, but then they started spraying blood, and I got very angry, and I started punching the person next to me in the theater.
This is a cinematic geek show.
Yeah, so they have kind of revolutionized not only the criticism, but the savaging of art.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, people really wanted to see when Siskel and Ebert both thumbs down something and started shitting all over it. But unlike later content that we're going to have to discuss, Siskel and Ebert talked about each movie for 3 minutes in a television format where they had to talk about everything that came out. That changed a lot as criticism entertainment moved on.
So then after this, you get other imitators of this format, but they're really the ones that broke it. Yeah. They're the ones that made it happen. But then something special happens in the Midwest in the 90s, and we get Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is a new take on video criticism where they basically record their own commentary track for a movie and riff on the movie in real time.
Ah, spring.
Filthy, shameful spring.
When birds are on the wing.
You know, people were whiter back then.
Spring.
With interstitial skits performed.
It's all part of a new program we like to call Deep Hurting. Deep Hurting.
This really is what moved everything to the next level.
They made the show for local television originally before it moved to Comedy Central, because it was just, crappy local affiliates and stuff. They get these public domain or so cheap that they might as well be public domain movies, and then they just decided to start shitting on them, and that created the that fed from the Roger Ebert Siskel everyone likes watching the thumbs downs to just be 90 straight minutes of stupid inside jokes and shitting on a movie that is cheap or weird or bad or whatever else.
Who would ever do that?
Yeah. Who would spend 90 minutes of their time giving analysis and criticism about movies?
About cheap movies.
As we're hinting at here, this kind of just created the modern internet form because coincidentally at the same time as Mystery Science Theater was going on and gaining traction and everything, so entered into the world the internet, which opened a whole new way to criticize movies because now everyone can be a movie critic with the introductions of forums where everyone can share their opinions, and IMDb has been around since the late 90s, so this is where everyone became a critic, and that's what we've seen. That's not something you think about too much anymore because, you got Twitter, Facebook, pretty much every social media platform where you can just spew out whatever thought comes into your head, but that was a new thing back then.
You could only get film criticism from turning on the TV, watching Siskel and Ebert, looking at whatever your local newspaper guy said, or talking to your actual physical friend who saw the movie. And
well, then, that's the least preferable way to do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Who needs those?
No one needs that. And that's why people went online to go on a shitty, fucking ugly website, sign the guest book, and listen to the opinions of 300 fucking weirdos who think they're professionals.
And write just paragraph, just essays long on movies and just nonsense and bullshit that has led to the over-analysis and conjecture of the modern critic, which is the next phase, I guess, because with the introduction to video hosting on the internet with platforms such as YouTube, came the ability for anyone to be their own Siskel and Ebert and create their own video criticism, which was really revolutionized by James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd.
Yeah. There's internet film criticism in videos before that to some degree, but James Rolfe, in his angry screaming at video games and making shit jokes and putting in like a sketch, like, completely changed internet criticism. All the other people, like the Nostalgia Critic and and pretty much every Channel Awesome person and everyone who has some synonym of angry in their name, like the irate gamer, they all took directly from James Rolfe, usually changing extremely little from his show to theirs.
Oh, yes.
Bart's my ass and Krusty's my balls. Fuck this shit, now I'm gonna eat my own shorts.
Basically, like, 2007 through, like, 2012 was the boom of comedy, in quotes, internet reviewers, and it's all just a shittier take on James Rolfe's material to a degree. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little less blue, but they're all doing a similar thing where introduce the thing you're reviewing and then present it in a format where you're going through that thing chronologically, and in between add skits and probably at the very end have an overarching story between the videos for no one's benefit or entertainment.
You know, in a way, you're some busting, violence, and slaughter. It was never personal, but I'll tell you now. What I'm about to do to you stubborn, annoying little movies, I'm going to enjoy it very, very much.
Yeah, this is where our word salad about omnitrixes and lightsabers comes from. These guys pretty much all started incorporating low-rent special effects and vague storylines into their content.
Whatever you could do in a pirated copy of Sony Vegas.
Yeah, while having, like, one friend who's willing to be in your videos.
Who can't act to save their life.
So, everybody fought an evil version of themselves. Everybody fought the actual case of the movie that is, like, they have their friend throw at them from off-screen. That
was my favorite.
Yeah, everybody does these same tropes, and you'll see them in every single thing.
And all of this self-indulgent, like, weird stuff that they put at the end with the overarching stories with, like, Nega Linkara or, like, just having characters from movies that they dislike or like and using them where they either beat up the character they don't like or like. This all kind of stems from Mystery Science Theater. And while Mystery Science Theater is made by a bunch of, like, professional and funny people that have, like, creative instincts and came up with these, like, unique characters to tell these stories with in a way that, like, oh, you relate to them because they're fun characters. These people on the internet have no tact or ability like these people putting together this very well done show, so they just go to their most base instincts where everything is a vanity project and they just are like, it's like the kid in 3rd grade where you're playing superhero and he keeps changing his powers and the rules of the game just back and forth. It's like if that kid just got to make his show where he was that superhero is what those segments are like.
It's self-insert fan fiction in the middle of a criticism, and it's so fucking weird. Like, and it was like the only way to get criticism in video form for like 5 years. And like a bunch of these people have changed formats to be, you know, normal people, but others have not changed at all.
Well, here's my question. Why is every weird internet reviewer from the Midwest?
Or Canada?
Because because like most of the Channel Awesome people are from the Midwest, right? And then you have fucking Mystery Science Theater, Red Letter Media.
Yeah,
so many.
I don't know. I guess there's not much to do outside, so you just get stuck inside.
Yeah, you just
at
get
a computer.
stuck when there's like 5 feet of snow or whatever.
Yeah, watching public access television and fucking around on forums.
Watching reruns of Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
And being like, I want to do exactly that, except worse. Which is, I think, a quote from Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic. But
yeah,
speaking of the Nostalgia Critic...
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to.
Yeah, the Nostalgia Critic revolutionized the media by pulling all of these fucking random people onto his website, thatguywiththeglasses.com. Because he's one of the earliest angry video game nerd ripoffs. He was like very, very early on the gimmick. And but he did it with movies, which was revolutionary.
And specifically, his gimmick was watching movies from your childhood, so it was targeted specifically at people within the age marketing tactic.
Yeah, but he used his clout in the fact that people, for some reason, actually went to his website. Like, I've heard a lot of content creators talk about this. If a content creator has YouTube content and then something has copyright issues or something they put on their website, nobody watches website content. Nobody. No one's making that switch. But for some reason, he managed to get people to go onto his website, and he filled it with other weird content reviewers, and he, based on certain things people have said, insisted that everyone have a separate gimmick so that no one overlapped. And it was just
even though a lot of them do, but you can fudge it and be like, well, I have a hammer while he has a sonic screwdriver, so.
Oh yeah, I talk about blockbusters while he talks about big budget movies. But there was like this weird insular network of critics under the That Guy with the Glasses / Channel Awesome branding that was big on the Blip platform that they went to, because old YouTube was the Wild West and you could upload fucking anything. But then YouTube went, wait a minute, you're uploading 70% of a movie onto YouTube and just filling it with skits. That you can't do that. That's not fair use.
No.
And then Doug Walker made a bunch of cringy videos where he explained that it is fair use, but it's not. It's not, Doug. It is in no way fair use.
Oh, poor Hollywood. Look at all the box office records you're breaking in the past 10 years. Look at all the new filmmakers that wouldn't exist without online media. Look at all the digital commercial tie-ins and trailers that you're exploiting the hell out of. You're killing them, Internet! You're strangling them like a newborn unicorn who just wants to give you rainbows.
But yeah, and so they all moved to Blip, a now dead website. And it's very insular. And I will admit, I watched all of this shit to some degree. Like, not consistently with most of them. Like, I tried everyone out. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah. And
apparently I'm the only one with taste here.
Yeah, you lived in the middle of the woods, you fucking You
didn't have internet access until last year.
you fucking caveman, you troglodyte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather live in a cave than listen to Doug Walker.
Yeah, that's a fair take. That's a fair take.
But yeah, it's just all these misfits of just like, they're not even like popular creators or anything on their own. It's just Doug just like goes around scooping up any property that exists, really, since it's still kind of a fledgling thing. And they all move to that guy with the glasses.com, and they all become a bit more popular just due to the fact that they're on a website that just has a screen that just shows every video that's uploaded, and there's like 2 or 3 videos a day, because they had so many people. It was like 50 or more.
Each with their own vague gimmick, each doing the same skits as each other. And then pretty early on, they realize that they can start doing crossovers with each other, where they record a little bit of footage and then send it to the other person. And then they just talk to each other with no like physical interaction.
Yeah, you just send an email with the script, and then they can set up a camera and set their eye line to something that vaguely could look like they're talking to you.
Yeah.
And then they can shoot someone with a
Star Trek
Hellboy's
phaser.
gun.
Oh, yes.
Or a Star Trek phaser.
Or both. One in each hand. Yeah. No.
Or just a real gun.
Oh. Yeah?
Yeah, that also happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Doug's is close. It isn't a comedy fake gun. Like, I mean, it's fake, but it's not like a clear...
It's a real gun.
Yeah.
It's not a ray gun.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a fake Beretta or whatever.
The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain to...
We just watched a video recently where he shot his dick off in anger because he had to review Kangaroo Jack as he was told in the skit before the actual review.
Yeah.
Because he confused Kangaroo Jack for Samurai Jack.
Yeah. One of the two most common jokes you will see in this content is, I somehow, even though I'm making the video, don't know what I've watched. And 2 is, I'm so angry at my own decision, but I treat it like there's someone off camera forcing me to do it, that I like shoot someone or myself.
There's like an obscene kayfabe, and sometimes there's the villain character of the series will kidnap them and force them to do it.
Yeah. Bringing it even closer to Mystery Science Theater.
Wow, huh? Yeah, that is the premise of Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
Is genital mutilation also a common comedy bit?
Yeah, it's a major tag.
Okay.
Yeah, CBT.
When there's no pretext of working with all these people in a professional network, the like weird interpersonal drama between like these just normal people that happen to make videos becomes a ruinous thing to entire like brands, and this has happened numerous times at different places. But Doug creates the ultimate crossovers, which are his Nostalgia Critic films, where he has pretty much every single person that's part of his extended brand act in his movies with like bit parts, and they all do their weird character gags, and they're all super long and nightmarish.
But the character gags are not always, or rarely their character gags. They're what Doug thinks their character is. Like, he writes the movies, but it becomes clear when you watch them that he actually must barely watch the other people's content.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You see, Aaron forced me to watch one of those movies, and I'll never forgive him for that.
Was it only 4 hours long?
I don't even remember which one it was.
It was Kick-Assia, which is the shortest one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, of course. How could I forget that name, that amazing name?
Yeah,
it's just like, oh my god, nightmarish was a good word, Dylan.
Yeah, no, because those movies reveal something very interesting that I think is part of the reason why those channels started to degrade, which is that Doug and company don't know even the slightest things about movies.
Oh yeah, if you watch any of his videos, it becomes very apparent to you that he is the least knowledgeable and most incurious human to ever speak about the art of cinema.
Yeah. Doug, obviously those were not made with a lot of money. They're made by YouTubers, but the thing is that, like, just the basic technical elements, like, not even budgetary ones, like, the lowest stuff, are just fucked up. They're jacked up like when you have, like, a history class, and they're like, make a video about Abraham Lincoln, fucking freeing the slaves or whatever, and you end up filming something really cringe and awkward with, like, 2 other people who don't know their lines and don't want to be there, and that's the entire experience of that. But those videos that he made for school are like 3 minutes long, while the fucking movies escalated all the way to the point where To Boldly Flee is like 3.5 hours or some shit.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
So it's just factor after factor, just like these building dominoes of dumb bullshit are just collapsing and just building up to something that can't be good. And it finally happens later, after the creation of all these films, and after people have started distancing themselves from the channel, or the people are disappearing from the page. But then all of a sudden, a shared Google document with numerous confessions from partners of Channel Awesome and That Guy with the Glasses comes out, revealing all of the terrible violations of human rights and dignity that went on behind the scenes of these movies.
If you've watched The Disaster Artist, where he, like, doesn't give anyone water, and, like, the set's overheating, and, like, everything's just a fucking mess, it's pretty analogous to that, except no one's getting paid, though I guess a lot of people in the room got fucked too, but...
I didn't know that. I didn't know to what end the poor conditions were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was just numerous stories about, like, they just don't have transportation to get where they need to be, or they're just like, they spend like an entire day getting literally one shot while there's no food or water for them.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine working on that set?
No, I can't. And it's just a lot of the times, like, there's so many characters that people just don't have lines, and they're not even in shots, but they would always be on set, like, every single day. And you hear that people were, like, complaining and, like, saying, like, this isn't acceptable, but, like, all behind the scenes, there was one guy that, like, was running the show, and people were looking to Doug for leadership because, he's the one that started the website and everything. And it just turned out he was just kind of a stooge, and he would never do anything about anything happening. And there was a bunch of drama outside of the movies, too. It was just a nightmare.
Yeah, the general impression you get if you read the doc is that Doug is a fucking moron, but he's not as malicious as his friends are. He's just incompetent. But his producer and his, to a lesser extent, his brother are, like, huge fucking assholes, and they generally made everything miserable for everyone. It's like, and there's some wild stuff in there, like there's a thing, and I hope it's real because it's so funny. It's his fucking producer, Mike Mashad. I don't know how you pronounce it. He allegedly. Mike Mashad, like, was like, oh, with all this YouTube stuff and, like, the fact that we're making movies, you're opening yourself up to, like, litigation and stuff if things, go wrong or, these companies come after you or whatever. So just sign the rights to all this stuff over to me, and then I'll take the heat if anything happens.
Jesus Christ. Did he? Oh, so this is a rumor?
Yeah, this is on the doc.
No, this is an account from someone.
Oh. So someone is saying that he signed over.
Yeah, that he signed over the rights to the Nostalgia Critic to that guy who's listed as an executive producer on all of Doug's content, who you never see, and that Doug does not own any of the shit, actually.
Wow.
And that if that's real, that's the biggest moron shit I've ever heard.
Aaron, when you said when you look at the doc, for a brief second, I thought that you meant a documentary, as if someone made a documentary about
that. Would be so awesome if we could see the extra footage from those movies.
Yeah.
I could not believe how revealing that would be.
People were forced to portray their characters in ways that they didn't really believe in, which is if it was a movie, a real movie, I'd kind of be shut up. But these are people with their brands they made. They're being represented.
It's supposed to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah. And then it's just everyone's out of character and doing weird shit, and none of it makes sense, and the comedy is fucking atrocious because it's written by Doug and sometimes that producer guy and Rob, the worst Doug. So it's just fucking, they're all disasters. And that's some of the final, the last movie was supposed to be the send-off for the Doug the Nostalgia Critic character. He dies or something. I haven't seen that shit in forever, and I skipped through it. But he gets a send-off and is gone. And that it was a vanity film as a sign-off for his character that was supposed to disappear forever while Doug made a weird new show.
So he abandons this character and the whole entire thing and just leaves the network to be its own thing, while he goes and does his own sketch show with a new set of actors. And problem with that is no one liked it, no one watched it. It was a complete and utter flop in internet terms. Mm-hmm. So just merely, not even, how much longer after was it?
I think it's a year. I think he floundered around for a year, and then he came back. But this time his gimmick became extremely loose.
Yeah.
He no longer just reviews nostalgic movies. He reviews anything.
Anything that might be clicked on by anyone at any point in time, at any place in the world.
But the thing is, and he didn't completely die out because for some reason still gets pretty respectable viewership. But in general, criticism on the internet in that brief hiatus had already kind of started to move on.
Instead of building off of the work of James Rolfe and that style of review, things have become a little bit more Red Letter Media, who were the revolutionary figures of their style, I would say, really, because they do, with Half in the Bag, they do some of the sort of character stuff, but they're more conversational tone that goes back more to Siskel and Ebert than a Mystery Science Theater. That led to stuff like video essays off of the prequel reviews.
Yeah.
So the face of YouTube criticism had changed while Doug disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Red Letter Media for both essentially creating the movie review video essay as well as ruining people's opinions on the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Phantom Menace was the most disappointing thing since my son. I mean, how much more could you possibly fuck up the entire backstory to Star Wars? And while my son eventually hanged himself in the bathroom of the gas station, the unfortunate reality of the Star Wars prequels is that they'll be around forever.
Not everyone was in their late teens, early 20s when those came out. We weren't all, hormonally engaged with the franchise.
Yeah, those movies got decent reviews, and and the third one got great reviews, and then like the reason their scores are as low as they are now, which is still not that low, is just because of retroactive later reviews added to Rotten Tomatoes. But there was an air of disappointment around the Phantom Menace from pretty much day one, that it was like, oh yeah, this isn't as good as the original movies, but it wasn't this vehement death hatred that formed later.
And it's like, I like those videos, like the original, Plinkett Phantom Menace review and the prequel reviews are funny videos, but it's like, I think people just took them too seriously. Yeah. And just decided that they were actually going to just hate those movies with every fiber of their being, even though they're nowhere near as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Phantom Menace review is basically a 101 about filmmaking. It talks about character writing and production and how productions have changed, and
You see, in most movies, the audience needs a character to connect with. Typically, this character is something called a protagonist. When you're in a weird movie with aliens and monsters and weirdos, the audience really needs someone who's a normal person like them to guide them through the story.
Red Letter Media comes from an area of knowledge, and I won't say expertise, but they've worked in film. So they are...
I've seen Space Cop.
They're working off of some source of knowledge, so their videos generally are informative. They like to talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff, what they find interest in the details.
That's a lot of what I find interesting as a viewer, is that they talk about that kind of stuff. And to be honest... I'm not saying we rip them off.
Yes, we do. Shut up.
Yeah, no, we straight up we pull a lot of inspiration from their format and just how they talk about movies in general, and it's
it's good. It's still
good.
From the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
Yeah, Red Letter Media is your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber.
Yeah, he is the MF Doom of both Milwaukee and YouTube criticism.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing how many YouTubers who don't even make videos about movies will just be like, oh yeah, I really love Red Letter Media. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, their studio setting, professionalism, their good, very relaxed and entertaining way of talking, plus their decent knowledge of behind the scenes machinations and how films generally work all come together to make something that's informative.
They put a lot of effort into not all, most of their videos. They build sets, which is something that
even studios don't do now.
Yeah, exactly. It's and that's you look at that and there's something to be admired.
There's a handcrafted element that's charming, and they're really just fun guys that play off of each other well.
Yeah. No, you can tell they've all been friends for a very long time. I believe Mike and Rich knew each other since they were children.
Yeah, and then they met Jay in 2001. So they've been around each other for 20 years.
I believe they met him on an internet forum about independent filmmaking.
I think that's true.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so that is basically more what people are ripping off these days. Guys like, your movie sucks and I hate everything, and it's more of a conversational style, even if it's just one guy talking and they...
Bargain Binge podcast.
Yeah, they try to, be a little bit more analytical, but then you also have people being... too analytical, swinging to the opposite of the Channel Awesome style, and then you have stuff like Cinema Sins.
Yeah.
Where you're just making up apart problems with movies.
Yeah, you're just picking apart every little detail that doesn't even matter. It's there was a microscopic continuity error. Ding. It's come on.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. They say straight up inaccurate stuff.
Well,
Like the director of Kong Skull Island, John Vogt Roberts, he took them to task for the fact that they say a bunch of stuff that just is completely inaccurate. Like they say that, like, oh, we've heard these songs in a million Vietnam movies, and he's like, actually, most of the songs have never appeared in a film before.
Yeah, we were the first to license them for the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just assumed that because it sounds kind of like it would maybe be in one of those movies. It's like they didn't actually look into it.
You guys can criticize my movie all you want. All I ask is if you do it, have some f***ing merit to it.
It's not an off-the-cuff statement on, like, a show like this or anything either. It's a fucking, like, super edited video. It's like, it's not like a free-form talk where someone might say something inaccurate. It's just them going for each detail, and you feel like they'd, like, think about those when they're editing them, but they don't. They really don't think about them at all.
This girl who wants to run away from an unseen attacker does it in the craziest way imaginable, in full view of everyone, rather than simply getting in a car or running away less conspicuously.
Annie was taken by surprise by It Follows' invisible monster and didn't have her keys on her, so she ran outside. The entire opening of the movie is Annie running away from the monster while it slowly comes after her. She's waiting until it gets far enough away from her house so that she can run back in, grab her keys, and drive away. This is why she runs in a circle around the camera. She's running around the monster as she heads back into her house. Yes, it seems crazy to onlookers, but anyone would look nuts if an invisible entity was trying to kill them.
Clip from Sustaining Stupidity Why Cinema is Terrible by Bob Vids on YouTube.
So really just every era is going to have its own obnoxious things where, like, you know, the Channel Awesome era was mostly just bad, but there were, you know, some good things to come out of it, and here now we have just people that are, instead of being overly angry, they're just overly cynical and analytical to look smart when they actually aren't.
Yeah.
But you also have good stuff like, you know, video essayists, like Everyone Likes Every Frame of Painting and stuff like that.
No, you have a lot of that. Unfortunately, a classical video essay like Every Frame of Painting is hard to do in a way that's entertaining.
Yeah.
And most you find are
yeah,
not.
a lot are just terrible. How Tarantino uses pictures of feet. The genius of Tarantino and the shot of the feet is that they represent traversing the plane of cinema. The reflexivity of Quentin Tarantino's work is no coincidence.
Now if you notice, in the shot there's 10 toes. Well, if you know anything about religion, there are 10 commandments. Do you think that if you think these two things aren't connected, you're an idiot?
As you can see, this character's feet are disgusting and grimy. Lots of dirt. That means that they have had a hardship and they've gone through a lot. And
someone has a hardship.
Yeah, someone does.
Yeah, someone behind the camera. But so just so we're not like, don't come off like we're just ravaging people. Who are people we like? I guess we should just, you know, shout out good people.
I was gonna suggest that. I mean, yeah, we've already mentioned Red Letter Media.
I think one of the best YouTubers that there is, one of the most consistent YouTubers, period, and he came out of the Channel Awesome stuff, is Todd in the Shadows, who does reviews of pop music. I know we're focusing on movies, but it's in the same vein, and he actually does a lot of effort on the editing, so it is fair use and everything.
Did a cockatoo just die?
Yeah, no, Todd has always been like a bright spot of Channel Awesome and is now just a guy who makes good content. He puts thought into it. He knows things about music. And it's actually like interesting to hear him discuss the new pop hits and all that. And he also diversifies his content to talk about nostalgic stuff, but and like one-hit wonders and all that. So, you know, he's a great one. Lindsay Ellis has pretty interesting stuff. I really liked her battle with that pornographic novelist.
The Alphaverse trial videos she did, and I recommend you check out those videos specifically because it's just a fun real-time story that plays out between those.
Estrus cycles, claiming bites, forced impregnation, nodding, which is it's like apparently it's a feature of wolf anatomy.
But also I want to, in the same friend group, Dan Olson is a very good film analysis guy.
Oh yeah.
He does very informative, like, dives into the technical aspects of film, like very specifically technical in a way that I feel like some people don't do as much as he does. Like, he has a video on the editing of The Snowman, or like the writing in the Book of Henry. It's very informative.
Yeah. We are all huge fans of the 2017 hit film The Snowman. He's like the only person who talked about it on the internet. Because, we've seen that movie a lot, more than you would ever imagine. And
a number I don't know if I'm fully comfortable divulging.
And no one has really talked about it. But he made a really good video talking about how fucked it is. And I recommend you look it up.
Writing a summary is actually a challenge because, I need the words I'm saying to make sense. But I worry that in doing so, I fixed problems with the film by omitting details that clash with comprehensibility.
I like The Critical Drinker okay. He's kind of in that same vein of, he's similar to, I Hate Everything, where he doesn't really pick apart movies in terms of their technical aspects. He mostly focuses on story elements, like character writing and arcs and, all that kind of stuff. I guess he's a writer or something, but his gimmick is funny because he's the whole thing is he's just a drunk Scotsman. His videos aren't exactly super effortful in terms of the visual things going on.
Oh no, God no.
It's mostly just 720p footage of the trailer on repeat. But I like his analysis and the takes he has and things.
Wonder Woman 1984 is a cinematic disaster so bad that it almost makes Justice League look good. It's a long, campy, self-indulgent, muddled, confused, and ultimately pointless mess that achieves absolutely nothing.
I'm a there's real film criticism, and we've talked about real criticism, and but sometimes I'm a big sucker for tier lists and ranked content.
Yes. And I don't know why. I love tier lists.
Yeah, if you can put something on a list and then start wedging them in, I will be happy to enjoy that content. And
that's why you're such a big fan of Watch Mojo's 10X or whatever.
Top X.
Guys.
With our favorite host.
We can't.
What's his name?
Hello and welcome to Top X, where we count down the very best that YouTube has to offer. I'm your host, Dan.
We can't talk about it too much, but Top X is the funniest content you will see on YouTube.
Dude, yes. I think those videos are cursed.
Please look into these. They are from a different planet.
If you want to watch a guy who looks like a CW extra wear a Star Wars t-shirt and talk about the top 10 fucking movie YouTubers and talk about how cool fucking Linkara or whatever is. It's the weirdest shit. And there's 50 episodes too. You gotta give it a look.
It's so good. I'm gonna include the funniest clip here right now.
Today we're counting down one of our highest voted suggestions, the top 10 hottest women on YouTube. We're not ranking these ladies based on their looks alone. That would be weird and more than a bit sexist. While looks are obviously a huge factor, the ladies in question also need to have a strong personality and a minimum of 2 million subscribers.
Yeah, it's just all like that.
It's like an alien made those. It's like they grabbed Tommy Wiseau to make their top 10.
It's videos. Like those I fed a machine an AI 10 billion hours of top 10 lists, and this is what it made.
It's like it's an AI that built things from AIs, like a few generations of that.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
I just wanted to mention, there's a podcast called Rocket Ajax that covers comic books. Their general show is pretty good, but their main best piece of content is their monthly show called Every Story Ever, where they rank every comic book story ever written. And they've been doing it for like 7 fucking years. And there's like 1,300 stories on it now.
That is a level of commitment that is hard to imagine.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. When they say story, it's not like they're rating single issues. And it's like on the list you'll see fucking Amazing Spider-Man #1, #2, #3, where it like pads it out. They mean stories. So like if a 80-issue comic book is pretty consistent on like what it's about the whole time, they rate the whole 80-issue comic book on the list. And
oh my god.
So it's absolutely fucking insane. I really like listening to it when I was suffering during my previous job and on my car rides to and there from. And I would recommend that program they produce in particular. Because it's a fucking weird thing to make, and I respect the shit out of making 7 years of rankings.
I can only hope that we achieve that level.
You could have become a high up at if you stayed at that company long enough, you could have been a high up at a studio.
Oh yeah, no, maybe
Yeah, you could have been the head of.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that would have been really cool. If. I'm sure I would have been promoted up the ranks to that very soon.
Oh yeah, that would take no time at all.
No, they don't. It's not a horrible slave labor company. Whatever it is.
You just gotta pee in some bottles. No big deal.
Yeah, no NBD to whatever the fuck that place is.
But so something I just didn't want to go without mentioning, because we talked about like these people that have their own distinct style of stuff, and video criticism is very different. Just to go back to the beginning of film criticism that was in print, the internet has also enabled us to have the easiest way to do that. So anyone can be a print critic because anyone can type. As long as you have a functioning like brain, you can type. That's all it takes. Mm-hmm. And so now every single person is enabled, like back in the days with the forums, to be critics and read other people as critics. And this leads to platforms like Letterboxd, where it's like played like a community social media platform where it's a weird social thing. And then also you have websites that build off of the internet existing and how everything's in one place, like Rotten Tomatoes, that's like an aggregate that takes all the critics and puts them in one place. And I just wanted to note that Rotten Tomatoes is one of the worst things to ever happen to criticism.
Yeah, it really is, because I feel like people treat it as the end-all be-all of criticism, where it's like, oh, let me check Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, bad score? I guess I won't see the movie. Or,
but the
stuff like that.
The score is an aggregate percentage of how many critics liked it. And is that really like that's a good barometer for like if you like general audiences might find it painful or whatever. But like that doesn't mean anything. That number is just kind of a nebulous thing, but people treat it with like credence as if that is like a consensus rating that everyone chose, when it's just like it's a binary, did you like it or didn't you? And it's a percentage of between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It doesn't account for people going, yeah, I kind of liked it. It's not great. Or like, it was kind of bad, but it wasn't awful. It's just, it's one of the other.
There are 70% rated or whatever movies on Rotten Tomatoes where like the reason it's like that is that 70% of the critics gave it a 3 out of 5. And the other 30% gave it a 2. So the consensus there is that it's
misleading.
Whatever.
It's mediocre.
Yeah, but instead instead you see a 7-0 and you go, oh, that's a fairly high Rotten Tomatoes score. Okay. And yeah, it's mean.
No, it's not Metacritic, which is a somewhat useful tool. I mean, they have the same problem as Rotten Tomatoes, but Metacritic is just an average rating on a scale of 100, just to make that simple, simpler to average, just between critics at different publications.
Yeah.
But they're weird about like who they accept and who they don't accept, which comes back to Rotten Tomatoes, where like the bar for who can be a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic just gets lower by day.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Like we could get them probably.
Yeah, if we did this podcast long enough and like uploaded like transcripts in a blog format, we would 100% just be able to become Rotten Tomatoes people, even though
not that I would want to,
not like actually published. Yeah, but like the other thing is with the people that do get certified, they have like the biggest heads on the planet. Like they think that being tomato certified is like the be all end all of being taken seriously as a connoisseur of art.
It's not the case.
It's like, okay, like Siskel and Ebert, you know them. Like you watch their stuff and you go, okay, so like Siskel like is more willing to give like these kinds of like B movies like a high score. Like Siskel gave a positive review to the Mortal Kombat movie, and Ebert hated it. So you get a vibe based on the personalities of the people. But like when you see a 70% score on one film and a 70% score on the other film, the critics could be fucking flipped. Like, you know, the top critics or whatever that you might listen to might have flipped to the other side on between the two films, and it's like you don't know whose positive ratings
you would
you're
never
taking.
know. And it's like, do you think anyone's actually scrolling down to look at individual reviews from people? No.
Yeah.
And take note of like who they are, look at the like tiny profile picture and click on their profile and look at it.
No. They look at the percentage and they go, okay. And it's, I don't know, it's just very like shallow.
Yeah, they might glance at the blurbs without seeing who wrote them just to get like a general idea.
Dude, I think the vast majority of people don't
even do that. Yeah.
Like I do that, but that's because I'm a film nerd.
Yeah.
But
well, because like I think it's like a good thing that if you're into movies to look at critics that you like might line up with or not, and just get opinions from people you respect, or even if you don't think they're a great critic, sometimes you just find somebody who you line up with. I like Brad Jones fairly well from Channel Awesome, especially his older stuff. But like when I was younger, especially, if he like hated something, generally it meant that I would not like it. Because he's like a person, and I can kind of gauge like, okay,
yeah, you can connect with his like tastes and his sensibilities about movies.
Yeah, and I can go, you know, most of the time we line up at least reasonably well. Like he might think it's good, and I think it's great, but those are both positive ratings.
Right.
And,
so you can kind of gauge,
and
you know, what you might think of it.
Yeah, and I might be able to gauge like, I differ from him on this isn't accurate, but like let's just say I differ on him with superhero movies. So I know with those to, you know, have a little bit of take a little bit of salt with his fucking opinions, and you can go, okay, well maybe his sitcom taste doesn't align with mine, so I'll think about that when I'm making decisions. But like that's a human being. And not a score.
But Rotten Tomatoes, they all just become an anonymous quit machine. And that's the other thing about Rotten Tomatoes I hate, is because you only get like a snippet of your review posted to like the page that everyone can see. Everyone is pushing so hard to have like a clever one-liner about the movie, and they're almost all terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, they're awful to like actually read through.
Total Recall. Maybe they should have recalled this script.
No, it's literal. It's on that level.
Yeah, it's all like Gene Shalit's worst moments compilation. As that's just what they're writing every day. But that also leads into Letterboxd, because I just wanted to briefly talk about this because we're frequent users, but it then has the same thing where people are trying to get the best quips in so they get the likes. But adding the social element for like getting clout and just showing people that you're smart and know film is something that I hate a lot about it, because it's really something that's just fun if you just want to hang out with your friends and just see what your friends are watching, what they're thinking. But when it opens up to more like a Twitter thing where there's like big accounts that you follow just like for entertainment and everything, it just becomes awful in a way, because just everyone's trying to look cool in a way I find deeply uncomfortable, because it's like intellectual posturing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in theory, Letterboxd is like great. I mean, the platform itself is just great. Like, it has awesome features.
Yeah, it's very well made. Shout out to the actual Letterboxd team. It's a very excellent
all those
platform.
people in New Zealand. You did a great job. I love the app. It's it's like collecting movies. I like to collect things.
Yeah. You get to see the number of films you've watched and how many you've seen in a year
and review. Yeah. And even if you get Pro, which is only like $20 for a whole year, which I just do because I like the service, you get all these other crazy stats.
Yeah.
Like what countries you watch stuff from, or what was your most obscure movie, and all kinds of stuff. But the issue arises when you have a bunch of like Tumblr users migrating to this service.
Yeah, it was a match made in hell, because Tumblr shed almost its entire user base at the same time that Letterboxd was becoming a functioning website.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that like had film blogs and things of the sort, like GIF pages and whatever, migrated over to Letterboxd and brought their specific sense of humor that doesn't translate well if you're not like inundated in that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's awful. most of the like popular users on there have like the worst sense of humor.
Yeah.
And like the worst takes.
The jokes are bad, but yeah.
Some of the worst critics on the internet that you could find have like weird Letterboxd clout, so they're thrown in front of you every time you look at a movie, and you have to block them because it's like, I cannot read another fucking blurb from this guy.
Yeah.
The celebrity worship on the site is insane, where it's just like, if you've been published 5 times in like a D-list media markets like critics page, and you reviewed movies no one else wanted to watch, you instantly become like a god emperor of knowledge in movies.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's like, to be fair, I mostly just shit post on there because I think it's funny.
That's more admirable sometimes, man.
Well, yeah, and because it's like, I don't write reviews on Letterboxd with the intention of trying to seem like intellectual,
profound,
or impress people.
Yeah.
I just do it because like, I make a stupid joke about a movie.
Yeah.
But that's the issue with a lot of these people, as you mentioned, Dylan. It's just like they have this air of like professionalism to it, where it's like,
and it's like faux, and they just utilize that to like manipulate you into just buying into their opinion as fact. Because I know like for a fact that a bunch of Letterboxd, like the top reviews are there because people will take so much credence in these people's words that like they'll before they go to a movie, they'll look at this like shit post review that doesn't actually reflect the movie in any like meaningful way, and then they'll base their decision to watch it on that, because there will just be like a bunch of likes on it, and it's like you look at how many people watched the movie entirely, and it's like half as many.
That's insane. That's actually more insane than basing that off of a Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a Rotten Tomatoes score is way more useful than some rando on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, if a movie is below like a 30, especially a 20, it's probably fucking dog shit. Like, like there are very few movies with like a 20 that I would be like, yeah, this was actually okay.
Yeah, it mostly becomes a problem in the mid section of between 1 and 100.
Yeah. No, it's normally like when you see something have like a 47 or something, you'll go like, oh wait, this was actually extremely good. Okay.
And then the other thing about Letterboxd is there's an immense amount of just theater about like what people like and just like trying to, if you for some reason care about the random people following you on the app, you'll do this weird dance where you like lie about your opinions on the movie, and it just like your reviews read like a hostage statement because like you don't want to appear to have a bad take,
you don't,
or like be problematic because you liked a movie that has bad things in it.
You don't want people to know that you didn't actually like us.
Yeah.
It's like if there's like a movie that everyone talks about positively and there's some sort of like symbol of something in people's minds, often you'll just see like people being like, oh yeah, I really liked it because it was good. If it's like a big event movie that you don't want to feel, there's a lot of FOMO. It's counteracting FOMO. It's like you don't want to be the one that doesn't understand the Suspiria remake.
Yeah. So you give it a 10 out of 10, and that you say, all those queens slayed.
Yeah, just say something that's like vaguely positive, like socially, or toward a disenfranchised group of people. That's all you have to do is just say, yes, I love you, or you can write a review that says, I want to have sex with someone in the movie, and that'll get you a top review.
Yeah, that's a very common
one. I'll tell you, the audience, that WandaVision seems to be very popular in internet circles. I get it, and I don't mean I get in that I get why people like it. I mean I get it in that I get what it's doing. The show sucks, and I will tell you that. But I don't feel afraid that you'll think I'm dumb because I think the show
you don't understand Lynchian filmmaking.
Yes.
You can't understand the grand works of absurdism of all the greats of all time combined into one show about D-list superhero characters that no one actually cared about.
Yes. Shows that don't actually have showrunners. The Disney shows don't actually have showrunners. They have a lead writer, but that person does not manage the show and is not the creative auteur, whatever, behind the show.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, a showrunner is, for all intents and purposes, the quote-unquote director of the show.
Yeah.
The showrunner is to TV as to director is to film, because directors kind of switch in and out on a series. It's just like, and sometimes you'll get a series that's like, Twin Peaks, where David Lynch directed all the episodes in The Return. But for the most part, the show is creatively brought together by the showrunner, who's usually the main producer.
Yes, they are a
It's the person steering the ship.
And these Disney Marvel shows do not have one, because the true showrunner is the Disney Corporation.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrifying. Writers are horrified by it. But no, it's actually an auteurist genius work.
Yeah, people give that show a lot of credit where I don't understand where it is, but like it's a mob mentality almost, sort of, is what Letterboxd creates, where it's like every single review is positive. And it's just, it's fun to hang out and talk shit on movies, but like I think people just take it a little bit too seriously, and maybe we are talking about it. But it's just interesting to look at how criticism in general like affects the way that we look at movies, because whether you like it or not, if you're participating in these platforms and these places where people are sharing their opinions, that informs what you think of movies one way or another. So it's constantly molding you in different directions. And when the conversation doesn't necessarily reward like intelligent analysis or just even a fun environment, because everything just kind of becomes like anything else on the internet, like a battle. It's just like, is that the best thing for the way that we watched movies in general?
Probably not.
No, yeah, well, that's the... yes. No, that's the main thing I kind of wanted to talk about with this, is that due to the weird film culture, from Siskel and Ebert on review culture of thumbs downs and like big and riffing teardowns and all this shit, and I enjoy a lot of that stuff. I'm not going to pretend I'm above it in any way. I watched all that Channel Awesome content, man. I'm a degenerate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we don't want to act like we were not at any point participatory in these things. No. It's just we're looking at these things in retrospect.
Yeah, no, I'm super a participant, but I just like want to talk about the fact that other stuff does not have this culture. Music, well, there's music critics and there's but the people who just turn on the radio don't try to like put in like strong takes about every song they hear.
You don't know of many people that are like discussing Pitchfork amongst themselves and Robert Christgau.
No.
And that's a much smaller, more niche community among like just like the most dedicated music fans, but film criticism is so much bigger.
Yeah, and it leads to this weird thing where people on the internet seem to be racing to prove first that they are smarter and better than the people who made the movie. And we shit on stuff. I'm not, but I feel like we try at least to be like, oh yeah, there's actually some fun stuff in Jack in the Box. It's pretty cool and worth looking at or whatever. And it's not just us going, here's a list of supposed plot holes or whatever. And like those are like the lowest criticism you can have of something is like
or just assuming that like an element of something in a movie is inherently bad and then just writing off things based just solely on that. Like meta humor bad, Deadpool is bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's like people, it leads to this culture where people are like fighting movies. And that's why so many movie podcasts are called like, I fucking despise film.
I shitted and pizzed on my DVD copy, and we do that every episode, the podcast.
Yeah. That's a weird like fucking hurricane of like negativity.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's like, yes, we shit on things, but as you said, Aaron, I think that we have a good balance to where we can, point out flaws, but also point out, benefits or good parts of movies.
I'm sure we have our own issues, but it's like, it's just shocking to me. And I think it stemmed, it's there in Siskel and Ebert, and then it's there in the angry reviews, and it's there in the Star Wars prequel Red Letter Media reviews. It's just this combativeness where it's like everything I see, I have to be like at war with it. Where it's like if it has been, if it makes a mistake, I gotta jump on that shit.
Or if it's something I like, it's my entire identity, and it signals something about me that shows whether or not I'm a good person.
Yes. And it's like, it's just a fucking movie. Like, we want to make stuff, like, and do make some stuff, and we, like, talk about movies on a podcast, and we're critical and all of that, but it's like, at the end of the day, this is just a way to talk to each other about the thing we fucking like, and we just enjoy films, and we watch bad stuff not just to be like, oh, this is awful, but they have like interesting qualities to them, and it's like, that's why we think about filmmakers and shit, is because we like to see the connections between stuff, and it's not just a race to like point out a mistake. And like the Simpsons stuff's brutal with that, because and a lot of similar critics, because it's like Prometheus. Prometheus has logical problems that are real.
That's like the quintessential.
Oh, absolutely.
Movie that everyone shits on for reasons I can't understand.
Like the characters act kind of dumb, in like in a way that's not like insane compared to other movies, but
No.
but they do act stupid. It's true, but I remember seeing a lot of plot hole point outs back when the movie came out. Like, before I saw it, where it was just people like, oh, this doesn't make sense or whatever, and, like, shitting on it. And then I was like, oh, okay, this must be a stinky poo movie. And I saw it, and I went, oh, wait, the movie explained those things. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Or,
like...
Yeah, or like, oh, this has, like, really interesting visuals and is made pretty well.
Incredible technical filmmaking.
Like, yeah, cool sci-fi. It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just didn't bring it up because it wasn't a flaw that could be their hot take.
Yeah, like, I remember specifically there's this one where people, there's a scene where a woman gets impregnated, basically, by the alien, and she has, like, a cesarean done, basically, and, like, pulls the baby out. She goes into this, medical tube thing, and it's like, she asks for it to do that procedure, and then it's like, oh, we're not built for women. And people were like, wait a minute, that tube is in a female character's room. That must mean that the writer is a moron who didn't remember that that's where that is, and that she'd have a tube built for women. But the twist in the movie is that there's a old man hiding in there. That's who the tube's for. It's foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of just the open ability to say anything you want about anything is that it's intellectually dishonest, and lies just become realities in people's heads.
Yeah. No, and it just leads to a really whack culture that doesn't exist with other media. I mean, games are getting it now, but But it's just, I don't know, man. Criticism's become really, really strange with the internet.
Yeah, but the bottom line is to just be critical of critics, I guess. Just look at it and understand that these are people with distinct opinions that are their own, and they're not some sort of consensus, all correct word on anything. And just because you think, like, you find them funny on the internet doesn't mean you should you shouldn't invest too much in what they have to say about things, because maybe they're funny online, but maybe their taste is completely different from yours, and that's okay. Like, if we think opinions are rank, that's one thing. Lying about stuff like in Prometheus is bad. So just think about these things. Could someone be dishonest about something? Are they, recutting this in a way that's manipulative? Look for things that line with what you like and might be actually informative to what you enjoy, or even just find people that you like that you disagree with, and then you can also, as a thought exercise, see the other side of things. But just the thing is, don't take it too seriously no matter what.
That's a big ask.
She got a great ass!
Asking people to find people with different opinions and
yeah,
and have a constructive conversation with them about why
that's
they
the
didn't
problem.
like the thing you like.
Is like we said, everything is a war, and that's why it's nice to watch things like Red Letter Media, where it's a conversation between people and they disagree with each other, but they don't beat each other up and fake or real and bring out like lightsabers that are painted green because it's their favorite color on the hilt. And so just look for smart stuff. It would really help a lot too.
Yeah.
Stuff that is informed and comes from a place of information is always good.
Yeah. Yeah, and just get a wider breadth and look at stuff, and maybe try to look at things not only from like what mistakes it may or may not have, but like aesthetic sensibilities or just other elements that you might connect with, and try to find other stuff that's like that, and you'll kind of just get into things that way. I think that's what we all did to some degree.
Definitely. It's just a minefield. It's just a minefield intellectualism. So just be careful out there, is all we're saying.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, we are the best critics, and we are always correct.
Our IQs are very high.
And we're always funny. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
we do like Rick and Morty. That's how smart we are.
Yeah, we have an average IQ on the podcast of 198. And
we registered our brand with Mensa. We're official partners.
I thought it was 200, but
no, Evan, you pull us down a little bit, but
you asked him for it. You asked him for that, Evan.
Yeah, no, I set it up seeing who would bite, and then was gonna shit on whoever did, and Evan did.
Ending, as we always should, with Evan eating shit. This has been another successful, brief episode of the Bargain Binge podcast, if not a heavy one, with a lot of emotions and yucky stuff. But that's okay. We're still the best critics, so who won't listen to this?
Yeah, I hope you cry.
Especially that guy in Brussels.
Thank you again.
How's it going, man? So, if you want to find us on all your favorite podcatchers, you can do that at bargainbingepod.com. You're covered. It's got everything. The RSS link, you can just pop into a podcatcher if it doesn't show up there. It's on everything if you just want to search it on your podcast app even. It's so easy to find. Tell your friends that it is exactly that easy to find. Tell them to listen to it. Tell them to leave a positive review on our Apple Podcast page. You do that too. Do everything I tell you to do. And don't give me any fucking backsass about it, okay?
Yeah.
This is the plug section, which means you have to do it.
Yeah, we know better than you, as we've established. So do all those things.
I am in the ROTC program of Rotten Tomatoes, and I am going to be a confirmed critic within the next 5 years if I just keep writing content.
Yeah, he has 217 confirmed movie kills.
I'm in the Navy SEALs of movie criticism. This is a joyous occasion. Also on the website now, you can find links to our store on Teespring and a place to officially buy our stickers, which are only $5, and that's a great deal. All of this is great. It's got the podcast art. I designed it, so I highly endorse it, if you can believe that. Once again, that's bargainbingepod.com, and if you want to go directly to our Teespring store, that's shop.bargainbingepod.com. And if you want to tell us something, I don't know, say hi, I don't care. Send us Letterboxd reviews you think are putrid, and we'll laugh at them.
We will.
We'll laugh so hard. So you can send all that to bargainbingepod@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at bargainbingepod. And I forgot earlier, but check out our YouTube for clips. It's always good, because I'm really good, baby. That's just that's the theme of the episode, you know? We have the gimmick of where we hate every movie, but we hate every critic, but we're the best critic. And you just wait until we make our own movie about our podcast characters saving the world from... throw me a pop culture villain, Evan.
The Screen Peeker.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Screen Peeker.
We'll be defeating the Screen Peeker on small screens worldwide within the next 3 years. But until next episode, which is... oh yeah, here's a clip of that. Here's a clip of what we're going to review.
See what the bargain gods have in store for us.
Oh, that looks like a cheap...
Something I've never heard of.
Movie? Frenzy?
Yeah, it looks like a ripoff of The Shallows.
Yeah, The Shallows. It looks exactly like that. Like, it's got a similar looking woman on the cover.
Yeah, and she's like the sharks in the water. Okay, I'm good with this.
Yeah, this is definitely a Bargain Binge
happy about
movie.
this.
And until then, and until the Screen Peeker movie is greenlit by Universal Studios in conjunction with Warner Brothers, Disney, and everyone else, I've been Dylan.
Oh, been Evan.
And I...
Whatever.
I've been Aaron. And I...
Feels good to not be Evan.
Yeah, I guess it does. And we are the...
Sick of this shit.
The second walkout. You know, it's an empty threat now, but...
Oh, man.
The boy who cried... Shitty podcaster.
The boy who cried because he had a 195 IQ.
Alright, later folks.
Yeah, see you guys. Don't critique movies.
How are you fellas doing today?
Jesus fucking Christ.
I was waiting for...
That's a powerful fucking...
Oh my god.
I'm doing great, Dylan.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
How are you doing today?
Maybe this episode just wasn't meant to exist. Holy shit.